Hi, I'm Ashley, founder of the Trans.Club, where you can find community and share your journey. So today we're talking about sexual arousal, or cross-dressing and sexual arousal. And this is probably one of those weird topics where it can get a little dicey, I suppose, because it's a little bit of a loaded topic for some, shall we say. How is it for you? Have you ever been aroused from cross-dressing, or are you even later in your journey where that was an indicator, but you realize there's so much more behind the door? In my experience, my first kind of recollection of an indicator that I could be trans was really when I started cross-dressing the first time. And I didn't really do it very often, but when I was 13, I remember trying on a pair of my sister's jeans when she was out. And I don't know what compelled me to do it, but I did it. And I got suddenly this rush of a feeling of being aroused, and I didn't understand it. It was this super confusing, like, oh my God, I like this, but this is wrong, and this doesn't make sense, and this just doesn't seem like it should be okay. I feel suddenly really ashamed and scared of what I'm feeling. So I kind of just forgot about it, hid that experience, and just tried to step away from it. Do you remember the first time that you may have tried on something and it aroused you? How was your feeling when you got that experience? What happened after that? What did you do? How did you respond? How do you even think of that as an indicator on your own journey? Once that happened, it stayed in my head, but it was something that I just didn't want to acknowledge or really reapproach. It scared me, and it was complicated because I'm one gender, and then here I am putting on this thing, and now I'm feeling these weird feelings. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I just kind of put it away on the shelf and forgot about it. But slowly over the years and years and years and years, it came back to me. And when I was in my mid-20s and I had more independence, I bought myself some lingerie and tried it on and felt really sexy and suddenly turned on by this and really liking it for some reason. I just didn't understand why. I didn't understand what it was that made me want that, or experiencing this thing that made me feel so good. So this rush, what in retrospect I would call gender euphoria, but in a sexual setting. Now, I'll pause right here and say, what does this sound like to you? Because maybe you've heard of this before. Autogynephilia is the term that Blanchard coined, and there's a lot of feelings about Blanchard. A lot of people don't like him, and then some people do like him, but basically the idea that you can be aroused to yourself if you perceive yourself as the object of desire, as in being a desirable woman. And this is cited in some instances of trans women. If they are attracted to women, becoming the object of desire by becoming a woman suddenly makes you an autogynephiliac. Which, I mean, first of all, the term is just gross. But second of all, I don't know if it's that simple. What do you think? How simple do you see this really complicated process? Because I don't see it that simply, right? What I can say is after that arousal, getting lingerie, experimenting, and trying things out in the bedroom, I thought it was just a fetish, a kink, a thing that just aroused me. I didn't really do much with it, though, until I opened up my relationship with my girlfriend at the time and started to just go out cross-dressing. And it left the bedroom, and so it was no longer just a sexual setting. It started there. I was too scared to go out, so I would invite a guy over, and I would be dressed up, and we would get a little sexy and have an experience, but I'm just thinking of that, and like the first guy that came over, his dick was so big that I could only fit like that much into me, and it was like, it was like that. I didn't date him because he had a big dick or anything. It was just how it turned out. He was a hot looking dude and just happened to have a fist dick. But, suffice to say, we didn't really do much after that because you can't really have sex with that. It's just too big. But I eventually built up the confidence to meet people who are trans and to go out and hang out with them and feel like this experience of cross-dressing was just this normal expression of being yourself, and that I could detangle the sexual aspect with just being in your correct gender. Have you had that experience yet? Have you gone out in public? Have you done something where you've cross-dressed, but it's not in a sexual setting? And how has that made you feel? How has that helped you realize or discover parts of yourself that you may not have discovered? Here's where I want to go with this autogynephiliac thing, by the way. The idea that you would be attracted to yourself and be aroused by that, and that's the whole foundation of this autogynephilia concept, it kind of breaks completely for me when you start to normalize cross-dressing and it no longer becomes a sexualized experience. You just experience being a woman and you get this new sense of gender euphoria in being this new you that you've always wanted to be. And it's no longer being the object of desire, it's becoming activated. What would you say it is? It's becoming more you. It's becoming this thing that you wanted to be. And suddenly your soul and your being is more present in this body because you go, oh my God, like I am the thing that I've always wanted to be. I just didn't know how to be it until this moment. And I think this is kind of the oversimplification of autogynephilia and where sexual arousal can also get confusing. There is a part within you that is far deeper down than your conscious that understands who you are. And sometimes the best way of reaching that, if you cannot access it directly consciously, is through a sexual experience, through a sexual setting. Like, look at kink. Look at all of these things that people do in this kinky experience. People with daddy issues want to have like a daddy. People who don't feel like they have a lot of control in their life want to be a dom and be in total control, versus people with a lot of power and have a lot of control in their life actually want to do the opposite in the bedroom. It's no different than any of these things. It's the sexual experience can really just be this back door for opening up something that you already know and that you're already trying to experience. I didn't let myself be a woman. I didn't let myself acknowledge being a woman. So through a sexual setting, it was a way for me to live out this fantasy of saying, you know what, it's okay, you can be a woman in this moment, and that's fine. But once I surpassed that experience and it left the bedroom and it was no longer a kink or a fetish, it's like, hey, oh my God, this is just how I like to be. And this isn't anything to do with sex. I have processed through the sexual center and energy areas of my being to realize that my consciousness is preferring a female stance. It does not mean that my consciousness is female because gender is such a construct and what is the soul or the spirit, but that my spirit has a feminine leaning and wants to exist and be expressed femininely. And I have a whole story around that, but does that make sense? Does it make sense to you that perhaps this sexual arousal thing could just be a kink, just like other kinks, how it relates to your psychology, and how it's really just an unfulfilled part of you? Because I'll tell you right now, dressing up in a sexual setting as a woman no longer turns me on. It doesn't. It doesn't turn me on to dress up as a woman. And yes, I find women attractive, but I don't seek them out. I seek out men. So how does that work for autogynephilia? I think this is where it just breaks apart. Autogynephilia is just kind of like the half part of the theory. It's like you have this kink and you're into women and sexualizing them, and that's where it ends. And so you transition to be your object of sexual desire. No. I think that's perhaps where it starts for some people. Not all trans people are like this. Trans women are like this. But then you process it and you go, oh my God, like that was just my suppressed aspect of me trying to cope with the fact of something I already knew. Does that make sense? Thank you for joining me today. If you'd like to find community and join other people like myself in a community and sharing your journey, check out the trans.club Discord. There's a link down below, and you can check out the website, which is still under production right now. I'll see you in another episode soon. Bye.